When I was a kid, in the summer, we all went to the hay field. We went and hauled hay, trying to get enough hay for the cows all winter. When I was a kid, when we didn't really go plumb to Berryville, we went to like Rudd. They had a little store there, and that's where we bought most of our feed and gas and just a few groceries. Just needed to really go and get a big load of groceries and went on into town, but for the most part we just kind of bought it around the little, there was another little store there at Middleton. Probably the biggest change that I know of right in town is Walmart used to be in the Williams Shopping Center when I was a kid, and then it moved out to where it's at now, and then changed again into Super Center, and some of the other businesses moved. Care Electric moved from up on the square to where it's at now.
Okay. Before I was old enough to drive, my sister and I would ride our bicycles to town about 2 miles, and then we would go to the city pool and we would swim all afternoon, and then we would ride our bikes down to, I think it was the Junior Food Mart, which is where Las Playitas is now, but it was a gas station and convenience store, and we would always, you could go in and get a slush. So we would go in and get a slush and ride our bicycles up to Williams Shopping Center. My mom worked at a hardware store called Coast to Coast, and so we would ride our bicycles up to there, and then my dad would come pick us up after he got off work, put our bicycles in the back of his truck, and then we would go home. So, but then after I got old enough to drive, actually drive a tractor, I think I started when I was about 12. And after I got old enough to drive a tractor, then my summers were spent in the hay field raking hay for my dad. So that's what we did most of the time. My name is Sheila Fancher. I was born June 22nd, 1960. Okay. My mom used to own Nadine's Bridal and Formal Wear, and she actually started out owning a clothing store called Fashion Crossroads, and how she got started selling formal gowns was she started out, I think she ordered 10 dresses from a dress company, and she had them on one rack in the very back of her store, and so it just kind of grew from there, and she kind of caught on to the idea of people renting dresses instead of buying them, and at that time you could really afford to save some money by renting them. But I remember it just grew into a great big business in a pretty short amount of time. But I remember a girl flying in from Greeley, Colorado to get a dress from my mom's store, because I think she was competing in the Miss USA pageant, but people used to come from all over to get dresses for her. And I remember she had these great big huge plastic tubs that she would wash wedding dresses in and pageant dresses in, and she would be out soaking them up and down in the plastic tubs at 10 o'clock at night, and then she would hang them from the gutters that ran around the house, and they would dry all night long. So, but it turned into a really good business, and somebody told me that they saw on Berryville Organic News one time, it said, "Do you remember Nadine's Bridal and Formal Wear?" So that was kind of neat to know that people still remembered it. Okay. The most, I guess the biggest difference that I see is the amount of people. The population has grown so much, and we've gone from literally a 1 or 2 stoplight town, because when I was growing up, the only stoplight we had was what was on the square. And so obviously we've grown past that, but it still is kind of weird to think that you can live in the same town with somebody and never really know them. Or even my classmates that I graduated with almost 30 years ago, you can live in the same town with them, but you can go 15 or 20 years and never see them. So, and the amount of traffic is still just amazing to me, because it just was not that way at all when I grew up. Everything was just much slower and simpler, and everything seems nowadays like it's really fast moving.